Hello everybody, welcome to the video on Vigor weapon tiers list. Today we're going to talk about some of the weapons in the game. We're not going to talk about all of them. There are just too many weapons in the game and this will make a very long video otherwise. So I'm only going to focus on white, green and blue weapons. This video is intended for new players who are new to the game and are struggling a bit to figure out what weapon they should use, what weapons they should avoid. So I'm just going to talk about the weapons that are most interesting. That doesn't mean that if I don't list a weapon here that you can't use it or that you shouldn't use it. You know, you can always try out weapons yourself, but I'm going to focus on the weapons that are most commonly used and are actually best for new players to focus on and learn the game with. With that said, let's get started on the video, and we're starting with the VZ58. VZ58 is probably the first weapon that you will have in this game. It's not actually a good weapon. It's got a lot of spread, a bit of recoil. Okay, gonna cut in here. Spread is how far your crosshairs go open when you start shooting. Recoil is your gun moving in a certain direction, and rate of fire is how fast your bullets leave your gun. These three parameters, these three things, are always going to define how good or bad a weapon is, and it's the same in every video game. These three things determine if a weapon is good or bad. Okay, back to the VZ. VZ, not that good. It's got high rate of fire, but a lot of spread. So it's good in close quarters, very bad for anything else. Next, AKM. AKM is probably one of the best weapons in the game. And before the LMG update, it was also the most commonly used, I think. AKM is a white weapon. It looks a bit like the VZ, but it has less spread, a bit of recoil, but a lot more accuracy. It's a good and solid weapon, and if you can get your hands on the plan very early, then this is a weapon you should definitely use. Next weapon, ES16. Same like the AKM, a very solid weapon, very popular in the community. The only difference with the AKM here is that it's burst fire. So you really need to learn that it's burst fire. You gotta pull your trigger multiple times, but it's very good medium to long range. Short range, if you don't shoot fast enough, you might lose a bit. But great weapon overall. Next weapon, SKS. SKS rifles in general got a boost in season 11, and rifles have improved, and SKS is one of them. SKS is single shot rifle. So you need to land your shots to be good with it. But if you can land 3 body shots with it, then you got a kill. Getting 3 shots on somebody moving, a bit harder, but if you're good with them, definitely worth using them. Next weapon in the white category, and the last one that I'm going to talk about, is the M2 carbine. The M2 carbine is weaker than the SKS. It's also got single shot rifle, which is good if you can land headshots on a medium range, but it's got also full automatic option, which means you can just push out 30 bullets in no time. It's got a bit of recoil to it, going straight up, so if you can handle the recoil and place your shots, you can also get headshots really easy. It's not as powerful as the other weapons in my opinion, so I'm going to put it a little lower, but it's definitely worth using if you're a new player, and definitely don't underestimate it if you come across it in an encounter. Okay, the first weapon in our green category is the A74K. The A74K is a different version of the AKM. Some would say it's an upgrade, some say it's a different. I'm going to call it different because it feels a bit different when you're using it. It's got a slightly higher rate of fire, but I think it has a bit lower damage on the weapon. So that compensates. It's got less recoil. It's very stable to use on longer ranges, and it's not as often used anymore since the LMG update, but before the LMG update this was a very solid weapon that you had to really be careful of if people were using it. Next weapon is the Suomi. Suomi is a completely different weapon from what we've seen so far. It's a bit of a Tommy gun, so it's got like 70 bullets, high rate of fire, a lot of spread, but definitely dangerous in close quarters. If you go prone with it, you can also go medium range to it. Long range is going to be a little bit harder, but definitely a good weapon to use if you are new to the game. The high ammo capacity, the high clip capacity really makes it good for newer players who are maybe having trouble landing shots and you know, dying when you have to reload. Then this might be the weapon you should try out for to practice your shots and encounters. Next weapon in the green category is the VZ52 rifle. The VZ52 rifle is pretty much like the SKS. Single shot fire, hits very hard, but also 3 shots to kill at least. I have been up against this rifle. It is very dangerous. It's got a very good rate of fire, so it's not slow. And if you like the SKS, you'll probably like this weapon too. You won't see it a lot in encounters because people generally don't go with rifles anymore once they hit the green and blue categories. And like I said, with the LMG update, everything is LMGs in this season. But besides LMGs, this is a good rifle. If you can land headshots from medium range with it, it's very good to use. This weapon is a bit special. This is the MGV. The MGV is a main weapon, but it's mostly carried as a secondary. It's got 150 bullets and a very high rate of fire. I think the rate of fire is 1500. And it's very much used to just close in on an enemy and then just open fire without even aiming down sights. Just go spray and pray. And it's not as good as the other weapons, so I'm going to drop it down 1 tier with the white weapons. You can use it, you'll either love it or you'll hate it. I don't think there's much in between in it. You'll either like using it or you're gonna just stay away from it completely. Next weapon is the first LMG in the game that you may come across, is the M60. The M60 is okay. It's definitely not a bad weapon, but it's the lowest of the LMGs in my opinion. It has a slower rate of fire, but it hits pretty hard. So close quarters, the lack of rate of fire makes it weaker. And you know, LMGs long range, you have to go prone to have that laser beam. I wouldn't recommend using this one. There are better LMGs that you will get your hands on, but LMGs in general are powerful. Next LMG is the M3. The M3 uses the same ammo as the M60. It's got a higher rate of fire, and it's got about the same accuracy. It's a pretty dangerous weapon at this point. Because of the high ammo capacity, you can just push so many bullets out in so little time and really suppress your enemy. And all it takes is 1 headshot and you have them. And this is probably in the beginners category one of the most powerful weapons to use. But the downside to LMGs is you have to bring a lot of ammo. You really have to, you can't just shoot 5 bullets at a time. LMGs, you really have to push out bullets really high, really fast. So you have to bring a lot of ammo, and that's the downside as a new player, that you may burn through your ammo a lot quicker. Now, blue category, first weapon we bringing in is the ZAM72 or the ZAM72, however you want to pronounce it. This is a bit in line with the A74K and the AKM. It looks a bit the same and it feels a bit the same. Especially now with the latest update, it's got very little recoil, good accuracy, low spread, and it's got a clip capacity of 40. So you kind of have an upgraded AKM here. I really like this gun myself. I've been using it a lot and it just feels very good. It's an LMG, but it fits better in the assault rifle category, to be honest. But it's an LMG, and for that, definitely better weapon. You can use it up against other LMGs, but you kind of have to play it as an assault rifle and not an LMG. Okay, second weapon in the blue category is the PPS PPS, you may see it on the emblem, is about the same as the Suomi. Same clip capacity, same features really, bit of spread, very good close quarters, okay medium, but if you want to go long range you have to go prone. It is known as a headshot machine. I have been on the receiving end of these headshot machines many times, so also a good weapon to use. Definitely now against the LMGs, because this one has a high clip capacity as well. Alright, and then we are moving on to the M21. M21 special weapon. This is the first scoped weapon you will find. It's a bit in line with the SKS and the VZ rifle. It's got the same rate of fire, but it's got high damage. And I think with 2 shots you can take out your enemy. It hits very hard, and with the scope you can really go long range. So if you enjoy sniping, this is the first weapon you will find that's going to suit your needs for this. And even in close quarters, without being scoped in, you can just use it in a DMR style or in a single shot rifle. The high rate of fire makes it very competitive if you can land your shots. However, I would recommend bringing a secondary with this for those close quarter encounters if you're new to the game. Speaking of secondaries, the first secondary we have here is the GAL, G-A-L. I really like this weapon as well. It's a very solid secondary weapon. That's right, it's a secondary weapon. It doesn't count as a primary weapon, which means that if you take this and you loot other people's weapons, you can take 2 guns with you. It's got 30 bullets, slow rate of fire, but very useful. You don't see it used a lot because it's a blue weapon, and it kind of performs the same as an AKM or an A47K. I actually should have put it a tier lower, but because it's a secondary, I put it there. I like to call it a pocket AKM. Very good secondary to use. Okay, next up is the Gewehr. The Gewehr, bit of a controversial one. Some people like it. I don't like it a lot. It's got a slow rate of fire because it's a rifle actually, or it may be an assault rifle, but it feels too much like a rifle. So in close quarters you're gonna fall behind because of the slower rate of fire, and on long distance you're kind of falling behind because you don't have a scope. So medium range it's okay, but it's got a bit of a recoil kick to it, so it like kicks up and then comes back down, which makes it harder to control. So for new players I don't recommend this weapon. There are better weapons. As you can see, I put it on a lower tier as well. You're better off just bringing a Suomi or an A74K or even an AKM even. It's not a bad weapon. If you like it, you like it, but it's not that great of a weapon. Okay, first LMG in the blue category is the RPK. The RPK has about 75 rounds in it. It's got quite some spread to it for the weapon, and it doesn't really feel like an LMG. It just feels like an oversized assault rifle. I don't think this is one of the better LMGs. Like I said, LMGs perform very well this season, so you can use it. But compared to an M3 or even the PPS, I think it's just on the same level there. So if you like it and you can find your way with it, go for it. Otherwise, we got 2 more LMGs that we're going through that will definitely suit your needs. Next up, PKM. PKM is a real LMG. Hits very hard. Bit of a spread to it, but like you can see it hits really good. Better than the RPK in my opinion. More powerful. It feels more powerful, and I just feel like you can hit a lot more with it. And then last weapon in our category is the KK62. KK62 is a bit like the M3. It has a very high rate of fire, not that much recoil, bit of a spread to it, but it's very popular at this moment. It's a bit of a meta gun at this point, because it's got such high rate of fire. and not too much spread. It's one of those guns people you just use to get close to an enemy and then just open fire and just guarantee to get a hit. It's got a high clip capacity, and it's definitely one of the better guns that you can find in the blue category. As you can see, both the PKM and the KK have a little weight to it, just like the M3 and the M60 have. So these weapons weigh a lot. So if you bring in one of these weapons, you kind of nerf yourself when it comes to weight, but it's actually not that big of a deal. You'll still be able to loot, you won't run that much slower, but there you go. That's about the weapons tier list for white, green and blue. I'll put this on the screen for a little bit so you can look at it, even take a screenshot of it if you want to. As you can see, LMGs perform very well this season, and that's a bit unbalanced in my opinion. Other guns still viable, but LMGs are king in the season. Hope you liked the video, hope it was helpful for you as a new player. If you have different opinions about these guns, about how I listed them or what I said about them, you can definitely leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll put out a video as well for purple and gold weapons, but purple and gold weapons we will have to talk about all the weapons actually to get a good view of them. So I want to make a separate video of this, but this one is really for the new players. Alright, thanks for watching. See you guys later. Bye.